Hey, everybody. Randy Patterson here with Boomerocity. I've said it on here before that I'm always thrilled when I get to talk to someone who played major parts on the soundtrack of my youth and even adulthood. And, it's always a thrill to be listening to the radio, satellite radio or some sort of streaming, and those songs randomly come up and you just kind of flash back in time. And the time doesn't have to be all that far back. And that's the case with Gilbert O'Sullivan. Of course, if you're as old as I am, you know songs like Alone Again, Naturally, and Claire and Get Down. But and even before then, there was Nothing Rhyme. But Gilbert also came out with a lot of other albums since then. He's an amazing songwriter and songwriter from both a musical standpoint as well as the lyrics. And he varies. I love how varied he is, and he's always a joy to listen to. And 2 years ago, he came out with his album Driven, and I absolutely loved it. And so we got to talk about that album, but the main reason for talking with Gilbert was this album you see behind me, which is Songbook, and it's a re-recording of both his classic songs and his more recent songs, a selection of them, not everything he's done, but it was recorded in a live in a venue, a concert venue with no audience. And I absolutely love how it came out. It's great. So your favorites on there like Claire and Alone Again Naturally are on there, but you're going to hear some newer stuff as well. And I encourage you to get that album. And if you haven't gotten Driven, go back and get that too. It's a great album. I know you're going to love it. So as always, I ask that if you would listen to the interview all the way through, hit like. If you're not a subscriber, please hit subscribe. It's not going to cost you anything. We don't charge you, at least, and I don't think anybody else will either. And share it with your friends, especially friends of our demographic, the baby boomers, who love this music. So it helps the artist when you do that as well. So without any further ado, here is my first of what I hope are many more interviews to come with the great Gilbert O'Sullivan. Until next time, this is Randy Patterson. Take care.
Hello, Randy.
Hello, Gilbert. How you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
You're good. I'm impressed. A musician that's not only on time but actually early. I'm shocked. Shocked. So, must be present to win, right? So,
Uh,
where are you clicking in from?
this is my recording studio here, which is a purpose-built studio just on the grounds of the property and stuff. So
Oh,
it's
fantastic.
perfect place to do the interview. So
Absolutely. Well, hey, thanks so much for taking the time. This is a personal thrill for me. Your music has been all over the soundtrack of my life, and actually been a theme song or two from time to time. I bet you can guess what song that is. But this is just a big thrill for me. So thank you so much for taking the time. I really
yeah,
do appreciate it.
no, good. I'm looking forward to it.
So I know we're supposed to talk mostly about the songbook and such, but I do, if we have time, I
No,
want to
no
also
problem.
talk to you about Divine. I'm sorry, Driven. I almost said Divine because I love that album. Man, that was great. But this songbook, wow, talking about bringing back some memories. Tell me the story
Mm.
behind it.
But the story behind it is that we did a concert last year at the Barbican in London, which is a big theatre. And currently touring is just myself and the guitar player Bill Shanley, just the two of us, up close and personal, very intimate.
Hmm.
And the head of the record company, BMG, was at this concert. And after the concert, he was talking with people from the record company. And he said they really enjoyed it. And they said it would be nice to recapture that on record. So that led to us going to a small theatre in London over 2 days, no audience, and just to sing a couple of versions of each song over the two
Hmm.
days. And that's it. Mix it
Wow,
and put it out. And that's pretty much what happened.
was that the easiest album you ever made?
Yeah. It was difficult for me at first because I wasn't too mad about doing a live album because previously we'd attempted recording with where we'd used an orchestra, we recorded it and stuff. But I came round to this because it was kind of it worked out really nice when we recorded the two songs. There's something nice about the stripping down of the
Hmm.
songs, and we were able to do a couple of them different to how they were on record slightly. And I felt that
Right.
like Happiness Is Being You with just the acoustic was different
Yeah.
to how it is on the record and stuff. So things like that made it an enjoyable experience. So
So it was a mix of, I noticed it was a mix from, your classic work as well as your more recent work.
mm,
But being though that you were familiar, obviously, with the songs, they've, been with you for at
mm,
least a couple years, if not
sure.
a couple decades. Were there any surprises for you in putting this record together?
Not in terms of performance, because go back to the record of every song. It's just me on the piano. I'm playing the piano, doing exactly what we're doing now. The difference then was that you'd have the orchestra, you'd have the full backing. The difference now is that it's just Bill and I. Although Bill does lovely guitar work on it and stuff. So
Hmm.
so it was enjoyable because I was happy with the vocal sound. No interruptions. There's nothing against. I've nothing against. I mean, we've just come back from a concert in Liverpool with 1,500 people, 15,000,
Hmm.
1,500 people. So the warmth of an audience is fantastic. But the process that we did this time was really enjoyable. And singing the songs, I found because there's nothing to kind of obstruct you, nothing to take your mind off what you were doing. So I enjoyed it very much.
Interesting. I know I've talked with some people. Joe Bonamassa comes to mind, and during the pandemic, he did a show at the Ryman in Nashville, Tennessee, not far from where I live, and he was talking about how kind of almost how unnerving it was to be performing in a venue, and you come to this big ending of a song, and then crickets, So,
Yeah, yeah,
and the same
yeah.
way with the guys in Toto, they did kind of the same thing. So, but I guess for you, was it that you just knew what to expect and it wasn't unnerving to you?
Yeah, in a way, yes, because nothing was to take away from the simplicity of what we were attempting to do. And just,
I see.
two versions, a couple of versions of each song. That's all it took. Not like you would do 20 versions like you would in a studio. Or, we
Right.
all go through those kind of things. And so it was easy in that respect. I enjoyed it. And Bill is a very gifted guitar player too.
Yeah, he is. I love his style and how
Mm.
he approaches the guitar. I'm sure you get asked them, the same kinds of questions a million times, but I'm hopefully I can ask this one maybe that's only been asked a couple thousand times, and that is with Alone Again. I mean, what a powerful, well written. The wordsmithing is just blows my mind every time I hear it. But I'm curious of what kind of stories you have gotten back from the fans for a song like that, because to me, it's probably one of the all-time best
Mm.
written songs in the genre. What any stories come to mind that fans have shared with you about that song?
Well, it's a serious subject to be dealing with and stuff. And so the brief chats I have with fans, whether it's after a concert or after a TV show or in the street, the reason they like Alone Again is the seriousness of it. The the suicide aspect is difficult to talk about, but the
Mhm.
death of a parent, the death of a family member and stuff, it resonates with them. And so people associate it with a part of their life in many instances, because we all have a mother and a father who eventually will pass away and stuff. So it's dealing with those issues. For me, when I wrote it, I mean, it wasn't based on a personal experience of any kind. It was an understanding of the subject that I felt somebody would be going through. That's what makes me, I think, a good lyricist, or should make you a
Mhm.
good lyricist, is you don't have to experience a subject to be able to write about it in a kind of serious way. I think that's very important. And so Alone Again I was happy with the song when I wrote it, but we needed a new single at that time. The other song I was writing was Out of the Question. And when we went to the studio, everybody thought Out of the Question should be the single. Alone Again
Hmm.
is not as commercial. So therefore, that's why we would pick Out of the Question. But in the end, at the end of the day, my manager said it may not be as commercial, but it's a better song. So that's
Mhm.
that's that's what happened with Alone Again.
Has there
So
been a
I yeah,
particular? Oh, go ahead. I'm
so yeah,
sorry.
so I mean, so meeting people, Randy, is, it's just nice, but it's difficult. It's kind of, you can't small talk about the lyric of Alone Again. It's not a small talk issue. So it's like with Claire or something you can talk about a child and stuff. And with
Mhm.
Get Down, you can just talk about being a good pop song or something. So those chats about it are just the way it affects people. That's all, that will always stick with me. How people will say, they had a parent who passed away, and that song at that time meant so much to them. So that will always be there as something special.
Do you find that, I mean, we're all in the same demographic here. I consider ourselves all baby boomers here. And do you find that with our demographic getting older by the day, that the feedback coming back on that song is becoming more pronounced? Maybe, you know, 50 years ago, there was impact, but now, I mean, we've lost so many people in our lives
Mhm.
collectively. Do you
Mhm.
find that there's more, you're getting more of a feedback on that?
I there probably is, Randy, but I don't want to get into those area of analyzing why or how or what. It's kind of dangerous area to get into.
Yeah.
I'm happy with I'm happy having written the song. I'm happy with the record we made. I'm happy with the successes achieved. After all the years still performing it, it's special because it's the
Mhm.
one of the few songs I sing on stage which the reaction we get is very different to other songs. People sing
Mhm.
along with the verse, but they always sing along the hook lines at the end and stuff. And I can hear that when I'm performing it. Uh, so it's I mean um, it's yeah. What you're saying is probably true, but I don't go there. I don't want to go there on that area because I think it would be a dangerous area to think why or how or after all these years what it could
Mhm.
mean. I think people like you are probably more qualified to do that than me.
I don't know. It's life, but, well, back to the songbook. What kind of feedback are you getting on it? I mean, I just love how you approached it. I love the sound. Even though the songs are familiar to me,
Mm.
it's like a pleasant surprise to me. So what are you hearing from the people who've heard it so far?
Yeah, it's stripped down. It's because the criticism we used to get with the band. You know, we have a great band. We haven't toured now with the band for a few years. We always used to get people afterwards say, we love the show, but would have been nice to have heard the lyrics more clearly, but the band kind of drowned out. So we've avoided that this time and stuff. So the intimacy is there. It's just very bare. And it just seems to work because it allows the lyrics the lyrics are not just "I love you, baby, you love me." If they were, I don't think it would work so well. I think there are
Right.
interesting stories in certain of the songs. I think, and the way we perform it seems to work. That's the reaction I'm getting from people who have bought it and like it.
I love it. So I want to jump on Driven since we have some time here. I absolutely love that album.
Yeah,
I think that I mean, I love all your work, but I think that particular album was probably, as far as new music is concerned, probably your best ever. I love the
yeah,
mix of sound. I love the quality of the lyrics, the musicianship, the recording of it, every
yeah.
bit of it. Can you share a little bit of the background on that album and what the feedback has been so far now that it's been out for a couple of years?
Well, the process was pretty much the same as always with me, with because I've worked with different producers on each album. The producer before Driven was Ethan Johns, Glyn Johns' son. Glyn Johns, very famous producer, Beatles, Rolling
Mhm.
Stones.
Mhm.
So Ethan is a very well respected producer. So he coming on board, and here's what I do: once we decide on the producer, I let the producer pick the musicians and stuff. So we want two guitars, bass, and keyboard player, and then me on piano and stuff. I allow the producer to pick the musicians because I feel if I do it, it could cause some discrepancy in the studios. So by Ethan picking the musicians, like Andy picked them for Driven, Andy Wright, Simply Red producer. Uh,
Mhm.
so and then the process is I meet them for the first time in the studio. They stand around the piano. I play the first song, and they go to their chairs and we rehearse a couple of times. The red light comes on, and we take. So that process was applied to the album before Driven. That's what that's the way we approach Driven, and that's what I
Mhm.
would go into the next album, because I think that a different producer gives that little something extra. I think.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm caught between two stools in a way because Andy Wright, who produced Driven, wants desperately to do the next album,
Mhm.
and if I'm true to form, I would be looking at somebody else. So it's a close situation because I'll start recording the new album early next year and stuff. And, and what you say about Driven, I'm really pleased you enjoyed that album. I mean, that's all I can hope for, uh, is that people like the work, like the songs. The standard I set myself is to be as melodically good today as I was yesteryear. I don't want a situation where the lyrics are good, but where's the melody? I wouldn't like that. I would be very disappointed if you had said to me, "Yeah, I like the album. Lyrically, it's really good, but there wasn't that much of a melody going on." I think the key for me is always, the key always for me is that it's almost the most important aspect to come up with a melody, because the melody tends to dictate pretty much the approach I'll take when it comes to writing the lyrics.
Well, I find too, though, that a lot of artists, as great as they are, I mean, I could hear a song right out of the chute on the new album, and I'll go, "Wow, I really like this." And then, you go through the album and it's kinda like more of the same, and by the time that you're at the end of the album, you're kind of tired of that sound, and
Mm.
that's not the case with Driven because I see touches of your classic sound, but yet all the other and the collaborations you did on there were amazing. And so I just, I sound like a little too bubbly on this, but I really did love the album and share it with people.
You
So
might, you must be in touch with Andy. Andy, Andy's definitely been talking to you, Andy. There's no good. He'll be calling me tomorrow. Say, I told you, Ray. I told you. Yeah.
Well, Andy and I should probably talk then because I'm sure he's
Yeah.
got some good stories too. So
Mm.
what you hinted on, well, before we get to what else is on your plate, and I know you've got to run here in a minute, but what kind of a two-part question, what song from Driven do you point to that not necessarily your favorite, but you say, "Hey, if you like this
Mm.
song, you're gonna love the rest of the record." And then what have you heard from your fans as far as what they think is their most favorite song from the
I
album?
Yeah, it varies and stuff. I mean, the reaction, the fans I meet say how much they like it and stuff. But there'll be favorite tracks. "Take Love" is a popular track,
Mhm.
particularly on radio. That was a very popular track. The duets with Katie Tunstall for "Take Love" and um, for Simply Red, Mick Hucknall
Yeah,
on Let Bygones Be Bygones.
yeah.
It's um, and I think a very popular track, which I always enjoy doing because it's based on it's one of the few songs based on personal experience. That's Blue Anchor Bay.
Yeah,
Blue
yeah.
Anchor Bay.
I
Blue
think
Anchor Bay
that's the
is
second song. Yeah.
yeah, that's one of my favorites. It's again, it's just quite simply done and stuff, and it's based on when I was a teenager at art school in Swindon in Wiltshire. 4-year course as an art student. And our second year, the staff said, "We're going to go to the seaside for the day." So it was a big thrill for us all to go to the sea. It'd be 1963. In those days, there was no Spain, cheap flights to this and everything. Your summer holiday consisted of a day at the seaside. So we were all excited. We had a wonderful day at Blue Anchor Bay. And so it's one of the few songs that is based around uh, a real situation. But "You and Me, Babe" is a song I like on Driven. So I like to
Mhm.
feel that the variety is there,
Absolutely.
Randy, because as you say, I wouldn't want it as the point you made about you hear the first track and then you've heard track 10, it seems to be the same thing. If I can vary it, because that's what I am as a consistent songwriter, is that I want the change to be there. I don't want to be writing the same thing every time. I want to be
Mhm.
excited about going into a different area, whether it's feel, whether it's fast, whether it's slow. That's what kind of excites me. Because when I'm
Mhm.
writing those songs before the lyrics are made, I'm just talking gibberish, but I'm into it. If it's a rock and roll
Yeah,
song, I'm really singing it like my heart and soul, but it's gibberish.
right.
And but I'm going to do it when I sit down with an empty notebook. Then it'll be the lyrics. So, what's your favorite song from Driven? Then?
Oh gosh, it was, I wanna pull up the because I always get the titles wrong. I've got a mental block about titles, but it was
Okay,
I remember the first cut. That's what I do remember. It's the first cut right off of the album, and I can't pull it up right now, but it's that very first one that hooked me, and then
okay,
I noticed that it was just kept going from one kinda style to the other, and then I try to look at albums or listen to albums without looking at the lyrics. I don't want to see
Yeah.
who's collaborating. I want to have a pure, true, um,
Mm.
reaction to it, you know?
Right.
And
Mm.
so, but I remember all I remember and I've listened to it. I can't tell you how many times. I just am
Mm.
terrible with remembering titles, but it was that first cut on the album. And
Okay.
it was, to me, it was a pleasant surprise because I don't know what I was expecting. Maybe another, Alone Again or Claire or something.
I think
But I love,
it was Love Casualty. Love
yeah,
Casualty. That was the
that
opening track.
love, yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
love that song, and it had me hooked for the rest of the album.
Mm. Yeah,
So,
and when I was writing that, because it was gibberish, I mean, I was really into that too. I really liked it. It's my rock and roll song. I have a few of those lying around.
mhm.
And I didn't have any title for it, but I was enjoying it. I remember the girls coming into my room, my daughters, hear me blasting that out. I was getting off on that and stuff before I'd written the lyric and stuff. So I'm glad you like that because I felt it was a good opening track.
It was very good. I mean, it was
Yeah.
well selected to start the album with, and for,
Mm,
longtime fans, I think it grabs us and we
mm.
go, "Whoa, okay, wasn't expecting this. Let's see what else he has," you know? And so, that's what I loved about it. So what's
Yeah,
on your
cool.
radar for the next year? You mentioned, working on another album.
Yeah.
Are you gonna come to the States at all for
Yeah, yeah,
tours
we're
or
coming up. Yeah, we're going to be over, and we're going for the first time to San Francisco. We've been to you now
Oh,
about 3 times. So we did the Troubadour just a few months ago. So
hmm.
that was interesting to do there. I should have really done it in 1972, but it didn't happen. But yeah, so we'll be coming to you, and we'll start work on the next album. I hope I have a good opening track when you get to hear it.
Well, if one way or another, I wanna talk to you about that album, and
Right.
hopefully, I'm in East Tennessee, up in the Smoky Mountains way down south, as the Beatles said, but, I'm right in the Smoky Mountains, so if you're ever in East Tennessee, maybe Nashville, whatever, I'd love to
Well,
be
we
able
are.
to catch it.
We have a home in Nashville,
Oh, do you?
in Bayshore, just outside the center. I bought it because the album I made called Gilbertville, which came before the Ethan Johns album. I
Mhm,
wanted to record an album in Nashville, and so we bought a property to be there to make the record, and I used American musicians, engineers to do the album. We had a great time. So that was a really good album to do. But
mhm,
yeah, so we
mhm.
have a property in Nashville, and we enjoy going there. It's just whereabouts in Tennessee are you based?
Well, you know where Knoxville is, east of
Knoxville.
Nashville.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
Alright,
yeah.
so I'm east of Knoxville, up in the Smoky Mountains. You've heard of
Mm.
Dollywood, Dolly Parton's
Yeah, yeah,
amusement
yeah.
park.
All right. Yeah.
I'm within earshot of that. I can hear the train whistle blow when it's running over there. So, I'm up here. I take care of my dad. He's up in years and, cognitive decline and all that, but I'm
Right.
privileged to be able to take care of him and,
Yeah.
enjoy my
Cool.
last days with him. So, but I'll watch your itinerary, and when you're in the area,
Yeah.
I'll shoot you a note and, maybe get to shake
Yeah,
hands
get
with
to
you,
see
and
us. Yeah, yeah. Be
yeah,
good. Be
that would
good.
be a
You
lot of
can do
fun.
that. I mean, you go online, Randy. You'll get all that info coming up and stuff
Yes,
when we're there.
absolutely.
That would be, yeah, it'd be great. Because
One
we've done it.
final question. Oh, go ahead, go ahead.
We did Nashville. We've done Nashville twice now in the last few years. Last year, and I
Yeah.
think 2 years ago before that. So yeah,
I
so we
know
should.
when I saw that, I was planning on going, and then I forget what came up, and I wasn't able to make it over there, but, I could do that in a day trip with no
Mm,
problem, but I'll keep an eye on it, and if you're in Nashville or anywhere within easy
mm,
driving distance, I'll
mm.
definitely, I'll definitely meet up with you and, 'cause it'd be cool.
Hendersonville is where we have the property, which
Oh,
is
so
takes
kinda
about.
north
Yeah,
of Nashville a little bit.
yeah,
Johnny
yeah,
Cash's old area, so
yeah. Well, overlooks the lake. So you
yep.
know, we used to see that property when we used to drive around, but of course, it all burned down. I mean,
Yep.
Barry Gibb of
Barry
the Bee
Gibb
Gees
owned
bought
it
it.
at the
Yeah,
time. Yeah.
and Roy
I don't know if
Orbison lived
anybody's
there.
Oh, right,
You
that's
know,
right, he did,
yeah,
and, Conway Twitty and some
yeah.
of the others there, but,
The lake is just wonderful. If you have a property on the lake, it's just superb. So it's a
yeah,
great
the
place.
views are amazing.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
well, Gilbert, this was a personal thrill for me. Like I said, I appreciate you taking the time, and, my door is always open to you. Anytime you got a new
Cool.
album, new tour,
Yeah,
whatever, I'd love to talk to you about it.
yeah.
I'll
Well,
do my part to help help fans find out
Right.
about it and
Right, cool.
create new fans for you. So,
Great.
all
Great,
righty.
Randy. Good to talk to you.
Likewise, and stay safe and healthy, okay?
Well, and you
All
too.
right,
Take care.
thank
Bye-bye
you.
now.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.